Hey guys, I'm Tim with bleepandjeep.com. In today's how-to, I'll be showing you how to replace a serpentine belt on a 4-liter engine on a Jeep Cherokee or similar vehicle. This will be a pretty similar process for any vehicle that uses a serpentine belt, and the same principles will apply. Okay, well we're going to start by removing the old serpentine belt. Let's get to it. If you look around your engine compartment, you're likely to find a sticker like this that has your belt routing on it. That's a handy thing to reference when we go to put the new one on. The first thing that we're going to want to do is get all this stuff out of our way. This electric fan can come out, as well as the shroud for the clutch fan. If you're working on a Jeep Cherokee, your electric fan as well as your shroud over here uses 5/16 bolts. And we'll just get all those guys out of the way. This fan shroud has had some custom modification done to it. It's missing the entire bottom part of the shroud. But it's a heck of a lot easier to take out now. Get this out of our way. Okay, now your electric fan just clips into the bottom and it'll come right out. But the hardest part about these electric fans is the electrical connection. They have these clips on here, these idiotic Chrysler connectors, which if you have a Jeep you are familiar with. And as many times as you've used them and taken them on and off, you probably still suck at it, if you're like me at all. Try to do it out here where I can see. Yep, broke that one. Beep, beep. That's what I have to say about that. That's why it's a bleeping Jeep, huh? If you manage to get this connector out without destroying it, you did a good job. Well, never have a problem getting this one disconnected again. With the simple removal of 4 small bolts and 1 broken connector, we now have plenty of access to work on our belt and remove the old one and get the new one on. So this is your power steering pump right here. Directly below it is the idler pulley. It's also the adjustment. We're going to break that loose. It's a 15mm nut. Just break it loose a little bit. You can actually see it loosening right there, moving. Okay. And once you break that loose, right here is your actual adjuster. Again, that takes a 15mm socket. And we can back that way off and take all the tension off the old belt. There we go. Now that belt is completely limp on there. With your belt loose, we can begin pulling it off all the pulleys. One of the easier ones to start with is your water pump because it's smooth. And it'll just slip right off the bottom like that. Then we'll have to fish this around the fan. Like so. Around your bottom pulley. And there it is. There's the old belt. With the belt out of the way, give all your pulleys a good look over. Make sure that there isn't any damage. And this is a good time to check for squeaks and squalls and all kinds of weird noises. And you can see it on this pulley here that there's a lot of rubber on it. That is actually likely parts of the old belt coming off, and that's the main reason why I decided to replace it. The belt I took off here actually isn't cracked or anything, but all of the smooth pulleys have these big old rubber deposits on them, and I suspect that's part of the old belt actually coming off and adhering to the pulley. Just so as a precaution, we'll just take it off and replace it anyways, and maybe save the old one in the back in the toolbox just in case. If you have this rubber deposit problem, using a little Scotch-Brite pad like this and some super clean or simple green or whatever, cleaner's your choice, you should be able to just lightly scrub that and have all that rubber just come right off there. Okay, with all my smooth pulleys cleaned up, good enough for me, I'm ready to put the new belt back on. Now we can reference Now we can reference that belt routing sticker I showed you earlier in the video. Put this over here for easy reference. Okay, so here's the new belt. First thing we're going to want to do is just drop it straight down and go around the very bottom pulley, which is your crankshaft pulley, after we fight the fan out of our way. Sounds like wind chimes. Okay, there it is. There's the bottom pulley. Now the fan is a smooth pulley, so that's going to go on the smooth part of the belt. Go underneath that. Then it's got to go all the way down and around the alternator on the bottom side of it. Okay, like so. It comes up and goes over the air conditioning. Then the bottom side of the water pump. Then it comes back up, goes on the top side of the power steering, and then the smooth part on the smooth part of the adjuster. This belt's nice and tight because it's nice and new. Okay, just like that. There we have it. The new belt is installed in the correct order of the belt routing diagram. Now we're going to tighten this up, and we'll start the motor and make sure that everything is working and stays on track. Before we tighten this, you may be wondering how tight your belt should be. And you'll read online all kinds of stuff about you should have 1 inch of deflection and this and that. I don't think so. That's about 1 inch right there, and that's way too soft. There was a Jeep technician that I spoke with a few times on the phone when I was in high school, and he told me that the best way to set a Jeep belt's tension is to get it so tight that you think it's going to break. And once you get it there, tighten it a little bit more, and that's about right. Now I know you're thinking that's kind of crazy and maybe too tight. Well, I've been getting my belts about that tight ever since then, and I've never had a problem, so I'm going to keep doing it that way. And if you want to look it up in your manual, the proper deflection setting, then good for you, and that's probably the correct way to do it. But I'll show you how tight I get them, and I'll leave it like that on this Jeep. Before I tighten this belt all the way, I'm just going to double check and make sure that my adjustment, my idler pulley, is nice and loose here, so it travels on that adjustment slide freely. And I don't typically use an impact on this, but for video it makes it nice and kind of exaggerates everything since it speeds it up. It shows you the movements and the tightening. Typically I would do this by hand. Okay, so you can see there's definitely not 1 inch of deflection anymore in that belt. There's a little bit of play though. Probably want that back. And that, I'm pushing on that fairly hard, and you can see it just moves a little bit. That's about where I would set it. Now we're going to start this up, spin the belt, make sure it stays on track, and if we need to tighten it or loosen it, we will. But before we start the engine, make sure to tighten that. After you fire it up and then shut it down, check your belt for tension one more time. In this case, it hasn't moved, and you may have to tighten it again after several miles, 100 miles. Just check it for the next 100 miles or so and make sure that it doesn't get loose. And if it does, that's fairly normal for a new belt to stretch out, stretch into place. So you'll just have to loosen your idler pulley and then make that simple adjustment on these 4-liter engines. That's very simple to do, and just keep an eye on that and you should have no trouble. Alright, now we're ready to reinstall all of our goodies and electric fan, and that's all there is to it. Alright guys, that's it for today's how-to. Pretty simple video today, but maintenance, no matter how cool your rig is just one of those things that you can't get away from. I hope you learned something from this video, and if you did, please be sure to thumbs up this video. Also subscribe to Bleepin' Jeep and check out bleepinjeep.com. By thumbs upping our videos, it helps us see what you guys like and helps us tailor videos towards what we think you guys want to see. Also, be sure to leave comments and leave your feedback on the video. I don't have time to reply to every single comment on all of my videos, but I do read them all. So please be sure to comment and know that I will read it. Alright, thank you guys very much, and we'll see you in the next video.